My daughter looked at her stepfather's sports car and said, "I wish you weren't my real dad." My daughter Kelsey was 16 when she said it. We were standing in the driveway of my ex-wife's new house. My ex-wife Linda had remarried a man named Vince, who owned a chain of car dealerships and lived in a house with 6 bedrooms and a pool. I was there to pick up Kelsey for my weekend. I drove a 12-year-old truck that I had bought used and maintained myself because I worked as a high school teacher, and high school teachers don't drive new cars. Vince's red sports car was parked in the driveway, gleaming like it had just been waxed because it probably had. Kelsey came out of the house wearing clothes I had never seen before, designer clothes, the kind with logos that cost extra just because people could see the logo. She looked at my truck and then looked at Vince's car and said, "I wish you weren't my real dad." She said it like she was commenting on the weather, like it was just a fact that needed to be stated. I asked her what she meant by that. She said Vince was going to take her to get her first car next month. She said Vince was going to pay for her college. She said Vince had a beach house where she could bring her friends. She said I had a 2-bedroom apartment with a couch that smelled like old books. I told her to get in the truck. She got in, but she didn't stop talking. She said her friends at school thought Vince was her real dad because she had started using his last name. She said it was embarrassing to explain that her actual father was a teacher who drove an old truck and lived in an apartment complex with a broken gate. She said she had stopped correcting people. I drove her to my apartment and we spent the weekend like we always did. I made her favorite dinner. I helped her with her history homework because history was my subject and I was good at it. I asked her about her life and her friends and her plans. She answered in one-word responses and spent most of the time texting. On Sunday I drove her back to Linda's house. She got out of the truck without saying goodbye. I watched her walk inside and I sat there for a long time, thinking about the 16 years I had spent raising her. I thought about the nights I stayed up when she was sick, about the school plays I attended, the soccer games I cheered at, the homework I helped with, and the tears I dried. I thought about all of it. And I thought about "I wish you weren't my real dad." I decided to grant her wish. I stopped calling her. I stopped texting. When my weekends came, I didn't show up to pick her up. Linda called and asked what was going on. I said Kelsey had made her feelings clear. Linda said I was being childish. I said I was respecting my daughter's wishes. A month passed then too. Kelsey didn't reach out. She was too busy with Vince's beach house, Vince's money, and her new life where her embarrassing teacher father didn't exist. Then something happened. Kelsey applied to colleges, good colleges, the kind that required recommendation letters, personal essays, and interviews. She needed someone who knew her academic history, someone who could speak to her character and her growth. Her guidance counselor called me. She said Kelsey had listed me as a reference, but I hadn't responded to any of the requests. I told the counselor I was no longer involved in Kelsey's life. The counselor sounded confused. She said Kelsey needed at least one parent reference. I said Kelsey had Vince. I said Vince could write about all the wonderful character she had developed while enjoying his money. The counselor said she would pass that along. Kelsey called me that night for the first time in 3 months. She said I was ruining her college applications. She said she needed me to write a letter about her dedication, her hard work, and her potential. I asked her why she didn't ask Vince. She said colleges wanted a real parent. I said I thought she wished I wasn't her real dad. She went quiet. Then she said she didn't mean it. She said she was just being a teenager. She said I couldn't hold that against her forever. I said I wasn't holding anything. I said I was just giving her what she wanted. I said Vince could write about her potential. I said maybe he could describe all the hard work she put into spending his money. I wished her luck and I hung up. Kelsey got into a third-choice school. Not bad, but not the dream she had planned. She blames me. I accept that. Some wishes come true in ways you don't expect.